Hi guys, my name is Tenny. Um, Hi guys, welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is Tenny. I like to read and I like to talk about books. So I just finished reading this book, The Death of Vivek Oji, written by Akweke Emezi. This is the first book written by the author that I've been able to finish. I remember I was going to read one of their books years ago, Freshwater, but I guess I wasn't just interested in their style of writing or the storyline that they usually choose to, come up with. But when I read this book, yeah, I've had a change of heart. So yeah, let's talk about it. This book follows the story of Vivek. Vivek is born to Kavita, who is an Indian woman, and Chika, who is an Igbo man. So he's basically born into like an interracial family. And the story just narrates his life before and after his death and how he dies. This book explores love, friendship, acceptance, the feeling of feeling, out of place or not enough in your own body, basically. It also covers queer relationships because we're exploring the relationship between Vivek and Osita. Osita is Vivek's cousin. So there's an incestuous relationship going on between the both of them. They're both two men who are living in Nigeria and obviously cannot be open about their relationship, especially Osita because he's a lot more traditionally inclined, I guess, compared to Vivek. Vivek is a lot more accepting of himself, but because of he's unable to find that expression or express himself around his family, he starts to have out of body experiences. He starts to feel out of place until he rekindles with his childhood friends. So he starts to rekindle with his childhood friends, and he starts to feel a bit like himself again, and secretly he starts to dress like a woman, and he wanted to be referred to as Nimdi. And Nimdi is the name that his grandmother, who had died on the day that he was born, was supposed to give to him. So it's kind of interesting that nobody had told him that his name was supposed to be Nimdi, and he decided that he wanted that to be his name because his parents had refused when their grandmother suggested that, oh, I want you to name your child Nimdi for like his middle name. They had refused. And I feel like that just puts into a bit, I don't know if I'm reaching a bit here, but seeing that in the book, it says that Vivek's grandmother and like Vivek's grandmother died on the same day that Vivek was born. I don't know. I just kind of feel like if you believe in reincarnation, maybe Vivek's grandmother was reborn as Vivek.
Wait a minute.
Let me cook. Anyway, it's a really good book. I like how there's so much queer representation here, and it really just like opens us up to the struggle of being queer in Nigeria. It's a very terrible experience because you're never allowed to be able to fully accept yourself or fully express yourself as a person. And it really just explores that, and it also explores other queer relationships. And yeah, it was very eye-opening. Although I definitely wish the book was longer because, first of all, I wanted to know why Vivek was having his constant out of body experience. I'm only just giving the notion that maybe that was used to kind of um, qualify how much you feel out of place when you're not allowed to express yourself in the way that you would want to, which is Vivek being forced to constantly identify as a man, even though he did not want to identify as that. So it just did make sense that he constantly felt out of place and he would just have like this out of body experience. But I wish that the author had kind of like, gone into it a lot more, and also gone into the connection between the death of Vivek's grandmother and the birth of Vivek, because I feel like it holds so much importance in the book because it wasn't just mentioned once. And also Vivek choosing a name that his grandmother had wanted to give to him before he was born. I feel like it would have been nicer if the book was a bit longer to explain that, because towards the end it was a bit rushed, because a lot of the narration is coming from Osita's point of view, and there's a twist there. I don't want to spoil the book, so I'm just not going to like talk about how he actually died, because that's like the twist. But I just wish that it was just explored a lot more. But I like how, in this book, there's also like a mix of spirituality to it, because we get Vivek's point of view even when he's dead, right? Because Vivek is dead from the beginning of the book. He's dead, right? So we get a bit of Vivek's point of view. And I really like that. It's very nice that everything is not just being narrated from Osita's point of view and other people's point of view. It's also coming from, there's also a bit of narration of Vivek talking about himself. And, that's really good. Even though they're really like short chapters, it still adds a bit of perspective into the book. This book was so captivating. I absolutely enjoyed reading this book. But yeah, anyway, this was a really, really good book. I definitely give it like a 4/5. 4/5 because I wish this book was longer. Like, it's such a short book. It's just 245 pages. But overall, this was a really, really good book. I absolutely recommend that you read it. And if you've read this book, please let me know what you think in the comments. Let me know if this is a book that you'd be willing to pick up if you haven't read it. Thank you guys for watching, and I will see you in my next video. Bye.